I'm sorry. But Jacob liked me first. You're the one who took him away from me. So, I'm taking him back. I'm sorry. I still love Isabella more. Your first love is always special. With that, my husband and sister boldly went on their affair trip. During their absence, my mom suddenly passed away in an accident. With no time to mourn due to the string of misfortunes, I handled the guests as the head of the funeral. Then, those two carefree people came back saying things like, "We bought some high-end sweets for your mom, and she'll be so happy. The funeral is about to start." Huh? At my words, their carefree expressions turned serious. My name is Mia. I'm 27 years old. I live with my husband Jacob, who is 2 years older than me. My mom and Jacob's mom, Kinsley, have been best friends since their school days. It's often said that women's friendships become distant due to life stage changes. Considering that, even though they became moms at the same time, it seemed like a miracle to me that my mom, a career woman who raised me, and my sister Isabella alone after my dad died in a car accident, and Kinsley, a laid-back housewife married to a CEO, maintained their friendship over the years. Since we were kids, they often talked about how wonderful it would be if their children got married someday. They often let me, my sister, and Jacob play together. Of course, they intended to let us choose our own partners for love and marriage without any pressure. Children are sensitive to their parents' expectations, hoping for such an outcome. My sister and Jacob were classmates from elementary through high school, making it even more likely. Plus, my sister was beautiful, had a great figure, and excellent grades, making her the boys' admiration, and Jacob was no exception. I remember classmates saying, "Wow, you're practically engaged to Isabella, your childhood friend." Kinsley also supported Jacob's love, hoping it would come true. However, my sister completely rebelled against our parents' plans. She didn't even consider Jacob, who was not good-looking or academically outstanding. Moreover, she had someone else she liked. My sister's feelings for that boy were eventually reciprocated, and Jacob got his heart broken. I was the one who comforted the heartbroken Jacob. I had always liked him since childhood when he took care of me, often envying my sister. I can't deny that I felt this was my chance. But I also genuinely wanted to cheer up my childhood friend. That was the turning point for Jacob and me. We grew closer, eventually falling in love and getting married. Both my mom and Kinsley cried with joy, saying they never thought it would actually happen. Even my sister sincerely congratulated us, at least back then. For several years after our marriage, we were very happy. My friends envied me for marrying Jacob, the son of the CEO and a strong candidate for the next CEO, calling it a win. Since I was familiar with Kinsley since childhood, there was no mother-in-law harassment. Jacob, too, said, "I have to work hard for my cute wife, Mia," and he worked diligently, getting promoted. I worked in a different department but at the same company, and my abilities were recognized. On the other hand, my sister wasn't very happy. She had several boyfriends since then, but none of the relationships worked out, and she was harshly dumped by the last one. It seemed like she was jealous of me, who caught the man who once loved her and was living happily. Sometimes she would say things like, "Oh, Mia, you're so lucky. It's not fair that you're the only one who's happy." I was such an idiot back then, even though I was just a high schooler. I had no idea how important family background was. If I could go back, I'd never turn down Jacob, the CEO's son. What a waste. And she'd often say, "Mia, you knew everything, didn't you? You knew you'd be set for life if you snagged Jacob. You really played your cards right." Whenever my sister said that, I'd reply, "That's not true." Back then, I genuinely liked Jacob. Still, I thought we were close sisters. Then Jacob's behavior started to noticeably change. His suspicious actions made me doubt him, and I hated myself for it. I confided in my sister about my suspicions of Jacob's affair. "You're just imagining things. Jacob isn't like that. I know because we were childhood friends and classmates. You know it too, Mia." Jacob loves you and only you. You don't have to worry. You have to trust him, okay? Encouraged by my sister's strong words, I genuinely thanked her. Thanks, sis. Thinking back now, it fills me with resentment. However, my doubts didn't go away, and eventually, I hired a private investigator to look into Jacob's affair. The results were clear as day. And the affair partner was unexpected. It was my sister, Isabella. Learning that I had been betrayed by the two of them nearly made me collapse. I immediately confronted them both. At first, they played dumb, but when I presented the evidence, they quickly admitted to the affair. What's more, Jacob said he had promised to divorce me and marry my sister. Why, Isabella? You blessed our marriage. How could you go after your sister's husband and steal him? Why would you do this? When I protested tearfully, my sister didn't even look embarrassed, she actually laughed. I'm sorry, but Jacob liked me first. You took him from me. So, I'm taking him back. He was mine to begin with. You should be grateful that thanks to me, you got to be with Jacob and be happy. You owe me for that. Now it's time for you to give that happiness back to me. That's not fair. You rejected Jacob first. How could you do this now? Jacob, how could you? Going after my sister? What are you thinking? I'm sorry, Mia. I do love Isabella. I loved you too, but when Isabella came on to me, I couldn't resist. It felt like my longtime dream was coming true. A guy's first love is special. Women might not get it because they move on more easily. I don't get it. I can't understand that. See? In the end, Jacob's always loved me. You're just my sister, a compromise he settled for. You were foolish enough to mistake his feelings. You took advantage of his heartbreak to lure him in. I couldn't understand why I, the victim of betrayal by my husband and sister, was being treated like this. With all the strength I had left, I managed to say, "What do you think Mom or Jacob's parents would say if they heard this?" Then the two of them started laughing. It's fine. Mom and the others just wanted their kids to marry each other. So it doesn't matter if Jacob marries you or me. Originally, they were rooting for Jacob and me. That's right. Plus, Isabella is prettier and smarter. She fits the role of a CEO's wife better. Our moms will be happy too. What? Even if my sister and Jacob got together now, there's no way our mom or his parents would be happy about it. Yet, the two of them were so excited that my words didn't seem to reach them at all. My sister was supposed to be smart and good at her studies back in the day. I guess infidelity really does lower a person's IQ this much. I realized that saying anything more was useless. Well, Mia, we're heading to Hawaii tomorrow. Yeah, tonight, I'll be staying at Isabella's. When we get back, let's proceed with the divorce. With that, the two of them left and didn't come back. That night, I cried my eyes out. And, as if things couldn't get worse. While I was worrying about how to explain everything to our moms, my mom got seriously injured in a sudden car accident. I desperately tried to contact my sister and Jacob, but they never picked up. They were probably blocking my calls to avoid being disturbed by me. Kinsley, who knew everything, tearfully stopped me, saying, "There's no need to call those two." So, I stopped trying to contact them and just prayed for my mom's recovery. However, my prayers were in vain, and my mom passed away in my presence, joining my dad. I was more in disbelief than sadness and was left in a state of shock. But there was no time to grieve. With my sister absent, I had to conduct the wake and the funeral as the head mourner. Maybe it was for the best that my sister wasn't there. I couldn't bear the thought of letting my mom be seen off by a sister like her. Even so, I still contacted my sister and Jacob, but there was no response from them as usual. I gave up trying to reach them and prioritized coordinating with the funeral home, the church, and the attendees. Naturally, my sister and Jacob didn't show up at the wake. Instead, Jacob's parents were there, and Kinsley was crying the whole time. She kept apologizing to my mom and to me, saying, I'm so sorry, Mia. I'm so sorry for making you go through so much pain. I could only hold back my tears and shake my head. Many people from my mom's company also came to the wake. As a career woman, my mom was loved and respected by many people at work. They were all deeply saddened by her death. Just before the funeral, while I was in mourning clothes dealing with the guests, my sister and Jacob finally came back and visited my home. Oh, Mia, you're back home too. We're back from Hawaii, and it was so much fun. We bought some high-end sweets for your mom. Yeah, your mom will love them. We need to get our parents' blessing for our remarriage. Their flashy outfits and carefree smiles, clearly showing they just returned from Hawaii, really grated on my nerves. What's wrong, Mia? You look awful. Well, I guess it's understandable. We bought you a souvenir, so cheer up, okay? Let's go to the cafe by the station. I'll treat you. Irritated by my sister's carefree tone, I answered in a low voice. I can't, the funeral is about to start. What? Funeral? Both my sister and Jacob still looked puzzled. By the way, you're in mourning clothes. Did someone die? Could it be someone we know? It's Mom. What? Mom passed away. Hearing that, my sister and Jacob turned pale and dropped the souvenirs they were holding. No way, that can't be true. Mom was so healthy just a little while ago. Yeah, that's right. How could she have died? It was a sudden car accident. She passed away with me by her side. The wake is already over. So many people came to mourn for her. Is this real? Why didn't you tell us? Even if I took Jacob from you, not telling me about Mom's death is too cruel. I was infuriated by my sister's words. I tried to tell you. I called both you and Jacob many times, but you never responded. Well, that's because we got so many calls from you, but we thought they were just complaints about the affair and didn't want to be disturbed, so we blocked all your contacts. How could she say it was understandable? There were other ways to contact you. Why didn't you tell us? I stopped Mia from contacting you. Kinsley appeared as she spoke. Mom. Yes, I could have contacted you myself. But I didn't want to. I didn't want you two, who betrayed your own sister, to tarnish Abigail's death. Abigail didn't want you two there either. Mom said that. You two told our moms a lot of bad things about me, didn't you? That I was cheating, that I had a spending problem, and that's why we were getting a divorce. That you were comforting Jacob who was suffering because of me. You tried to make them think badly of me to get their approval for your remarriage. You even said ridiculous things like you always loved Jacob but acted coldly because you knew your little sister had feelings for him. Yes, you sent a lot of messages. Neither Abigail nor I believed any of it. Mia isn't that kind of person. In fact, thanks to those messages, we were sure about the affair between you two. Mia also showed me evidence of your affair. Isabella, how could you lie so blatantly? It was obvious to everyone that you didn't like Jacob back then. You weren't the kind of person who'd step aside for your sister. And someone like that wouldn't have an affair. I couldn't bring myself to tell Mom and Kinsley about the affair. I didn't want to hurt them. But Kinsley already knew from the messages Isabella and Jacob had sent on WhatsApp. So did Mom. Before she died, Mom called me and revealed that she and Kinsley had noticed Isabella and Jacob's affair from the messages. Don't worry. Kinsley and I both know that Isabella is lying, she said with a smile, trying to reassure me as I denied the contents of the messages. And on her deathbed, she left a will. I leave everything to Mia. Isabella gets nothing. What? When I conveyed the will, my sister cried out. She seemed more shocked by this than by Mom's death. Of course. A daughter who steals her sister's husband and lies to defame her deserves nothing. I wouldn't leave a cent to you either. And Jacob, you too. Dad found out about your affair and decided to remove you from the list of potential successors. What? That can't be true. Someone who not only had an affair with his wife's sister but also defamed his wife. Neither Dad nor I can forgive that. We really made a mistake raising you. But Mom, you used to support me and Isabella being together. That was when you were high schoolers and not even dating. Now you are married to Mia. It's a completely different situation. How can you not understand that? Ugh. Anyway, we have Abigail's funeral now, so we can't waste time here with you two. Wait. We want to attend too. My sister tried to cling to me. And Jacob followed. What? Do you plan to attend the funeral dressed like that? I looked them up and down. They were both wearing flashy aloha shirts. Completely inappropriate for a funeral. Of course, we'll change. Where are the mourning clothes? They only seemed to realize this after I pointed it out. We don't have time for that. As the head mourner, I have to go now. And even if you changed, I wouldn't let you attend. Me neither. Like I said, I don't want the likes of you two, who betrayed your own family, to taint Abigail's funeral. No way! I'm her real daughter. It's absurd that I can't attend my own mother's funeral. And as the eldest daughter, I should be the head mourner. Mia, you must be exhausted from handling everything alone. Let me do it. I owe a lot to Abigail as well. I'm her son-in-law. I want to see her off too. At least let us attend the funeral. Kinsley gave them a cold look. Abigail said she no longer considers you her daughter or son-in-law. You don't need to do anything. Go ahead and enjoy the rest of your affair trip. Turning our backs on the stunned pair, we headed to the funeral. I asked the security guard to turn away my sister and Jacob if they tried to get in, and the funeral proceeded without any issues. During the service, Jacob and my sister came by, asking to at least see my mom's face, but the guard turned them away as instructed. Later, not only was Jacob removed from the list of candidates for the next CEO, but he was also fired. It turned out he had been embezzling company funds. Jacob, excited by my sister's attention, had been buying her expensive brand name items and used the embezzled money for that. The Hawaii trip was also funded with the stolen money. I had been suspicious about my sister suddenly wearing a lot of brand name bags and clothes before the affair was discovered, and now I understood why. Jacob's parents cut ties with him and demanded he repay the embezzled money instead of reporting him to the police. Jacob argued, "It's my parents' company, and I thought it was fine since I would inherit it anyway," but of course, that excuse didn't fly. Naturally, I divorced Jacob and cut ties with my sister too. Jacob begged, "I'll leave Isabella. Please forgive me. I still love you," but I rejected him outright. I felt he was just trying to reconcile to get his parents' forgiveness. When I demanded compensation through a lawyer arranged by Jacob's father, Jacob complained, "I already have to repay the embezzled money. I can't pay more," but that wasn't my concern. My sister was even more persistent than Jacob. "We're sisters, right? We lost our parents, and it's just the two of us now. Please don't demand compensation. I'll give Jacob back. I know I did a terrible thing to you. I'm really sorry, and I'll apologize as many times as you want. I'm reflecting on my actions. Let's support each other like we did after Dad died. We're the only family we have. Even if we cut ties, our blood connection won't disappear. If we keep fighting, Mom and Dad will be sad. If Mom were alive, she would have forgiven us. We were such close sisters. It's sad to cut ties over this. I just want to support you as your sister." Her whiny, tearful plea only made me more irritated. I realized that the smart and responsible sister who comforted me when Dad died in that car accident during our childhood was gone. "Sure, I did something terrible to you, Mia. Something unforgivable. But I've always helped you as your sister, right? So we're even. We're family, we should forgive each other." I'm lonely, I'm hurting, Mia. My sister continued to plead in her sweet, whiny voice. She had quit the job she already complained about, thinking she could marry Jacob, and was now struggling financially. She had sold off most of the brand name items Jacob had bought her. Seeing that I inherited all of Mom's estate and received compensation for the car accident, she was undoubtedly jealous and wanted a share of the benefits. Legally, she might have a right to a portion of the inheritance, but the accident happened when the driver swerved to avoid a child who had run out and hit my mom on the sidewalk. It was a tragic accident. Despite being seriously injured themselves, the driver paid compensation above the usual amount. But Mom's life couldn't be brought back. I just hoped she was happy with Dad in the afterlife. I didn't want this kind of sister to disturb my efforts to find peace. Jacob's parents said they would adopt me since I don't have any parents now. They think I'm more competent than Jacob and want me to take over the company eventually. They've known me since I was little and always thought of me as a daughter. They're my family now. They support me more than enough. So you're not my family anymore. I don't need your support. You're not a support, you're a burden. I emphasized the word you. To make it clear, I didn't consider her my sister anymore. She then started screaming hysterically. Why is it always you who gets the lucky breaks? You take all the good stuff and get to be happy. Jacob's parents are awful. I've known them since I was little, and they adored me. I'm the eldest daughter. I'm grieving Mom's death too. But unlike you, no one comforts me. Everyone just blames me and drives me into a corner. It's so unfair. Why? Shut up. If you keep making a scene in front of my house, I'll call the police. If you want comfort, why don't you get it from Jacob? I said in a cold voice. My sister kept muttering but eventually slinked away. Later, my sister also demanded and received compensation for Mom's death, getting more than the usual amount. But part of it went to my compensation, and the rest was forcibly taken by Jacob, saying, "You knew about the embezzlement, so you're responsible for repayment too. I'll use this for the repayment." This led to a huge fight between my sister and Jacob. I'm grieving Mom's death and you take my money instead of comforting me. No one is on my side. Shut up. It's your fault for seducing me. Because of you, I got removed as the next CEO and got fired from the company. Why should I be kind to a curse like you? A curse? You're calling me that now? If anyone's the curse, it's you. Don't blame me. You weren't blameless for falling for your wife's sister's seduction. I'm not to blame. I was just acting on my male instincts. If I'm a curse, what does that make you for seducing me? What a self-centered excuse. That's not gonna work. You fell for the sister you now call a curse. What a ridiculous argument. Both of them were to blame. Naturally, it seemed they would break up, but then my sister found out she was pregnant. The father could only be Jacob. They foolishly thought that having the baby would soften my and Jacob's parents' hearts, so they decided not to break up and to get married and have the baby. But even when they informed us of the pregnancy, I and Jacob's parents ignored them. Eventually, when the baby was born and they came to visit with the baby, we still turned them away. This is your grandchild. Just look at this adorable face. You'll change your mind. Jacob pleaded. His parents responded, "We told you, you are no longer our son. That child is not our grandchild either," and turned them away. My sister also tried, "This is your niece. Just look at her face. Let's make up." I ignored her. She's a girl. Maybe she's Mom reborn. I'm thinking of naming her Abigail after Mom. At those words, I felt my blood boil. Don't you dare! Mom would never come back to you! I screamed and chased them away. Eventually, they gave up on reconciliation and raised the baby on their own. The child is innocent, so I hope she finds happiness somewhere far away, and for that, I hope those two try their best. To repay my kind in-laws and to forget my sadness, I threw myself into my work. As a result, I made remarkable progress and got promoted. It seems I inherited my career-driven mother's blood. When my father-in-law retired, I became the CEO. I expanded the business significantly and gained media attention, even getting interviewed by a magazine. In the interview, I talked about how my husband was taken by my sister. I received many supportive messages for succeeding despite such adversity. Later, I remarried the young CEO of a business partner's company. He pursued me earnestly. Traumatized by Jacob and my sister's betrayal, I kept him waiting for a long time, but he accepted my past and said he would wait as long as it took for me to be ready. My in-laws were truly happy for my remarriage. I believe my parents are celebrating in heaven too. My current husband is far more sincere and devoted than Jacob ever was. Soon, our companies will merge, and we'll run them together as a couple. I hope my parents continue to watch over us from heaven.